everybody. Welcome to Business Insight. My name is Bruce Starr. I've been hosting radio and television shows for over 20 years and bringing in some of the most interesting people in different fields of expertise. And today is no different. I'm going to have on a PR expert and author. Her name is Rhonda Rees. And Rhonda is an award-winning author and expert in the field of public relations. In her extensive career, she has represented a wide variety of clients, including authors, celebrities, Fortune 500 companies, manufacturers, and nonprofits. Her book, which I have right in my hand, is called Profit and Prosper with Public Relations, Insider Secrets to Make You a Success. It's won many awards. She has been crowned the Publicist of the Year by the Book Publicist of Southern California. Congratulations on that, Rhonda. She's also featured in the Global Directory of Who's Who for her hard work, dedication, perseverance, demonstrating leadership and achievement in the PR profession. Rhonda is a sought-after speaker, and she has made several appearances on NBC national television and on many local Los Angeles stations such as KCBS, NBC, KTTV, and KCAL, all about having her on their shows when they need someone to talk about a successful PR program. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us, Rhonda Rees.
Oh, thank you very much, Bruce. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, all the way from Los Angeles. So I want to ask you, Rhonda, public relations is over the decades, changed dramatically. You and I lived out in Los Angeles for many years. That's how we know each other. You were very successful then, but we know that public relations has changed so dramatically from probably the original. What gave public relations its image was way back when studios used to hire PR people to really bring out the movies that are coming out and to really bring out into the world the stars that were going to be in the movies. So let's talk a little bit about public relations over the years.
Yes, well, it's interesting that you mention about the studios hiring PR experts. My boss, who was the late Alfred Stern, got his start working for the movie studios, and he worked for RKO Pictures in the 40s. And a little bit of trivia is that he actually did the first PR promotion for the movie classic It's a Wonderful Life.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I know at the holiday time this is a very popular movie, but when the movie first came out, it actually bombed. And they released it originally, I believe, in the summertime, and it just wasn't the right season for a movie like that. So they retooled it. They must have, reconvened the PR department, as you're mentioning, and look at what it is today.
Wow. So tell me, what is public relations, and what is your job?
Well, public relations is a whole lot of things, and as a matter of fact, there really, really isn't a very clear-cut definition of what PR is. I mean, people mix it up with publicity, promotion, marketing, advertising. People don't really know what the distinction is. But basically, it's kind of a $1 million question, and so the profession itself is barely 100 years old, and there are a lot of aspects to it, and basically it's in the business of promoting people, companies, products, services, and ideas through the media. And it can help shape attitudes, mold opinions, build images. It can also enhance reputations, promote public awareness. It can generate acceptance, and it can also identify policies and procedures. And one way to do this is through publicity in the newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and the Internet, also social media. They can all be used to educate and inform the public about somebody's important message.
So there's many ways to get the information out, but are there many ways to get the media's attention so that they pay attention to what you're trying to promote?
Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of ways, and one way, the most important thing for a PR person to do, or if a person is attempting to be kind of wear the PR hat, is to consider coming up with the right PR angle or hook to get your message across. And you got to ignite the interest of the media so that they will give you some coverage for your message. And if you have a good idea and if you carry it out in the right way, it could literally make or break you. So you have to be creative. You have to use your imagination. And you can also tie in your message to what's happening in the day's headlines, or maybe a holiday theme, or something that will resonate with the public. And if you don't mind, I have a little excerpt from my book that illustrates a very, very good point to consider on how to come up with a good angle.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and it's easier if I can just read this for you because it'll give your listeners some idea. So here I'm going to start by letting you know that I once represented a vocal coach who wanted to gain publicity and attract more clientele. So she mentioned that her aim was to help people break down their inhibitions while teaching them how to best use their voices. And when she first approached me, I thought her situation was kind of a dime a dozen. In other words, I was sure that there were many singing teachers out there, but frankly, I didn't really see anything too creative or unusual about her services. So she didn't have a book or a tape to market either. So naturally, I was convinced that she was going to be a very tough sell. Well, this was one situation where all my PR training really came into play. When I interviewed her further and with some probing questions, she mentioned that sometimes she taught her singing lessons with a pot-bellied pig sitting on her lap to help relax her students. So just picturing this unique teaching technique intrigued me, and I found myself grinning with delight. Perhaps we had something here after all, but how was I going to capitalize on this new knowledge to help promote her? Again, I thought about it for a while, and I had some more discussions with my client. Through the course of our conversations, an idea was born. Why don't we make use of the pig? It was decided that in order to grab the attention of both the media and the public, we would have to get a bit more creative. So we came up with a plan. Since many motorists in the Los Angeles area are very stressed out during their morning commute, why don't we have them tune into a particular radio station and sing along with the pig? Sounds too weird and silly? Well, the producers of KFI AM's then popular morning drive radio show TNT in the Morning didn't think so. So through a clever press release, some very good media relations, and telephone skills, I was able to persuade the folks in charge of the program to put my client and her pig on the air. The plan was for her to arrive to the studio with the pig and have him sit on her lap, just as she does during her singing lessons. The station really had a lot of fun preparing for this novelty act, and the traffic reporter flying the helicopter even gave the segment some promos. Since I'm a big Beatles fan, we decided that the pig and the teacher would lead the drivers in a selection of Beatles tunes. You know, songs that fit the context, such as Drive My Car, Ticket to Ride, and Help. Everything was all set up and ready to go, but the night before, another Beatles tune, I realized that the teacher didn't have a name for her pig. What was she going to call him? At the very last minute, she decided on Caruso in honor of the opera legend. When I arrived at the studio early on the morning of the event, I found myself chasing after the pig as it ran down the long corridors. Never in my wildest imagination did I ever think, with all my college and on-the-job training, I'd ever be doing something like this. In any case, the event went off without a hitch and was very successful. Caruso oinked at all the right parts on cue and was richly rewarded with some sweet and chewy milk duds, his all-time favorite food, I was told. My client got to mention her 800 number several times, and she was even able to offer free voice lessons to some of the listeners. But we didn't stop there. Instead, I decided to get a little more mileage out of it. Afterward, I dashed off a press release and sent it through the wire services. To my delight, the story ran in Steve Harvey's Only in L.A. column in the Los Angeles Times, which read, "Traffic Ham. A creature named Caruso the Pig appeared on radio station KFI's TNT in the morning show as part of what was billed as the first ever commuter sing-along. Motorists were invited to call in on their phones and release their aggressions by singing with the oinking Caruso and the in-studio crew. A PR Newswire release noted, by the way, that the pig was named after opera great, spelled Grate, Enrico Caruso. Funny, we always heard he had a good voice. We continue the campaign in its various formats at additional radio stations. The listeners were able to use their imaginations as opposed to viewing the pig on television. My client was quite pleased with the success of the PR campaign. So as you can see, the development of a good PR angle or hook to help sell your client product or service is very vital indeed.
So that's clever, very clever, and that's what you have to be in the public relations world. You have to think outside the box. So tell me, Rhonda, public relations compared to advertising, what do you think? Which one do you think is more valuable?
Well, to be honest, and I don't want to offend any advertisers out there, but I strongly believe that public relations is far more valuable than advertising because it is considered a third-party endorsement because it's your client's product or service is not being touted by someone with a vested interest. And instead, you're getting the approval from the editor and the media, and that can really, really make all the difference in the world in terms of how you're being perceived by the public. And the media's endorsement will help to add important credibility to you or your product or your cause. So psychologically speaking, many people tend to perceive what they read in print or hear on the radio or see on television or sometimes online as credible. And the other nice thing about PR, which a lot of people don't seem to realize, is that these mentions in the media, they're free. You don't have to pay for if you appear on a radio or TV talk show or as a feature article in a magazine or something like that. And with advertising, if you try to advertise on radio or TV or print or wherever, it would really cost you quite a lot more money. Very
fascinating. So in this day and age, social media, the Internet has just obviously taken over so many people and awarenesses, and now social media has sort of changed what public relations, they call it branding now. So
yeah,
social
and
media,
building a platform.
Branding.
Yes, and social media has certainly taken things by storm. When I first began my PR career, there was no internet, there was no social media, and we didn't even send out emails. So you can just imagine how it's basically changed before the worldwide or since the World Wide Web. And nowadays with the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, blogs being so popular, it's really changed things, and so have all the devices that have been invented and people are using and whatnot. But what we've seen in PR a lot is the changeover from the traditional press release versus the more optimized one, where on the optimized you put the links for your YouTubes or your graphics or any other information about your company or your Facebook page or that kind of thing, blogs. The media has instant access to click on something, and they get much more information about you or your company or your product or your service. And so it makes it a lot easier that way. But the downside is that because of all these communication systems and what's going on today, the media is saturated with all kinds of pitches that it used to be they get maybe 500 pitches a week through the mail, through the fax, through that kind of thing. Nowadays, they're getting hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, a day, and after the course of a week, it's quite a lot. So they tend to delete, discard a lot of the pitches they get unless they're done properly because there's just too much competition out there.
Well, I bet we could do a whole show on how to do the proper PR sheet to send out, but we'll have to save that for another day. But
sure,
when you do PR, celebrities, ethics, reputations, promoting controversial clients, how does that all fit into the PR world?
Well, it's coming more and more into the forefront these days with all the celebrity scandals and all kinds of things and this instant communication. You have these 24-hour news cycles and they have to report on a lot of information, so they're always looking for stories and things. It's many years ago, I organized a dinner meeting. I used to be the president of the former Publicity Club of Los Angeles, and we had some experts back then giving us some tips and information. And what they were saying back then actually still applies today. And I'd like to read a couple of sentences here and explain, but what they were saying is, how do you use effective communication strategies to disseminate accurate information and project a positive image when clients are involved in controversial issues? And in my own PR career, I've had to handle a lot of these hot-button issues. So when it comes to representing controversial clients, according to the experts, the best way to handle the situation is to accentuate the positive to counterbalance the negative. The first step is to figure out what is controversial about the client and determine what the client's public relations goals are. You need to assess what's happening in the client's industry and what might be taking place in the future, especially with worst-case scenarios. So also to note that at any given moment, you or your client may be called upon to be a spokesperson for a cause or be a representative for a company. You sometimes see PR people defending their clients almost like a lawyer or something. And if and when the time comes, it's very important to be prepared, especially if you're going to be involved in a press conference, a news broadcast, or a one-on-one interview.
Wow, so that's fascinating information. So let's put our teacher's hat on now. And
sure.
What would you tell younger people coming out of college who are thinking about going into the PR profession?
Well, basically, there's some really good news about going into the PR profession because it's one of the few majors that or professions that doesn't require a master's degree or higher. So you can just have a BA degree and start yourself on a career in PR. And some good majors to think about besides public relations would be advertising, communications, English, journalism, marketing, radio and TV, film. There's also a very, very excellent organization for students called the Public Relations Student Society of America. It's a branch of PRSA, the Public Relations Society of America. This is the PRSSA. And so you need to have good communication skills. You need strong writing ability. You need to be creative. You should have an eye for detail. It's a very detail-oriented profession. You want to have organizational know-how, good ethics, and a pleasant persistence. And one thing my boss, Al Stern, that I mentioned earlier, told me on my very, very first day of PR working at his company, he said, you're going to like public relations because it's different every day. And
right.
You won't see the same day twice. And I thought to myself, wow, that's for me, because, you know, you don't want to go to a job and do the same thing over and over and over again. So this profession is constantly evolving, changing, and it's never the same twice.
Well, I'm going to put my teacher's hat on and say anyone wanting to learn about PR, public relations, any student wanting to learn about it, they need to start with your book, Profit and Prosper with Public Relations. Tell us about how people can find your book so they can purchase it.
Yes, well, thank you. It's available on Amazon.com. I've got the Kindle ebook version and also the regular paperback version. The paperback version comes with a CD that I put in some PR industry resources, both nationally and internationally, and it's also on the Kindle version electronically that you can get that information. So I mention a number of resources throughout the book, and then, of course, the accompanying CD or link will get you that. You can also go to my website. It's www.aseitypress.com. That's ASEITYPRESS.com, or if you want to phone 818-325-2089.
And what about an email?
Oh, okay.
If they'd like to contact you?
Yes, you can contact me directly at Rhonda Rees at ASeityPress.com or info@ASeityPress.com, and that's A as in Apple, S as in Sam, EITYPRESS.com.
And your last name is spelled R-E-E-S.
R-E-E-S, like Sam, and no E at the end.
Okay. Well, this has been a fantastic opportunity for people to learn firsthand about being a PR expert from a wonderful PR expert, someone I've known for years and years. Rhonda Rees, thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
I do, too. And do I have one more second? There's something interesting to leave your listeners with.
Sure.
Okay. A little tidbit and unknown fact for many people about PR is a fellow named Edward L. Bernays was the founder of the modern field of public relations, and the guy that kind of invented this, was a nephew of Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, and his public relations efforts helped to popularize his uncle's theories in the United States. So the roots of PR go all the way to Sigmund Freud.
Unbelievable. Wow. Thank you again, Rhonda. This is Bruce Starr. You're listening to Business Insight. More incredible guests next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. And thank you, Rhonda. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.